The first thing the woman did, after her rebirth, was to buy many gifts for her biological daughter whom she hated the most. However, when the adopted daughter came home, she mistakenly thought that the gifts were bought for her, so she took the gifts for herself without hesitation. When the woman came home from get off work, she found that the gifts were missing. She went straight to the adopted daughter's room and sternly asked her to hand over the gifts. However, the adopted daughter, who was spoiled on weekdays, did not believe that these gifts were for Lu Mengyao at all. Not only that, the woman's husband and mother-in-law also stood on the side of the adopted daughter and felt that Lu Mengyao, who was picked up from the garbage dump, did not deserve such good gifts at all. The woman was firm in her attitude and said, righteously, that the adopted daughter had taken the gifts by force. It must be taken out. The man next to her hurried forward and tried to persuade the woman not to be so serious, but the woman shook off the man's hand and said coldly that the total value of the things taken by the adopted daughter was more than 5 million. If he didn't take it out, it would be enough for him to go to jail for several years. When the adopted daughter heard it, she immediately started to throw a tantrum and shouted like a rogue, "If you have the guts, call the police and have me arrested." But as soon as he finished speaking, there was a knock on the door. The law enforcement officers of the police station rushed to the scene. The adopted daughter was so angry that she burst into tears on the spot. The woman's husband and mother-in-law hurriedly explained that no one had reported the case, and that it was all family affairs. But the woman said mercilessly that he had stolen valuables worth 5 million and was still refusing to give up. Upon hearing this, the law enforcement officers were ready to take the adopted daughter away. The mother-in-law stepped forward to stop them and said anxiously, "We are all a family. How could the adopted daughter steal things?" The law enforcement officers responded with a serious face. "The law is not merciful. Since someone has reported the case, we must file a case for investigation unless the reporter does not pursue the case." The mother-in-law had no choice but to quickly persuade the adopted daughter to take out the things and coax her, saying that grandma would buy you new ones tomorrow. It was better than this. The adopted daughter knew that if she didn't hand over the things today, she would definitely not get through. She ran to the room angrily and threw the gifts on the ground. When the woman saw that the gifts had been taken out, she withdrew the report to the law enforcement officers. The adopted daughter was so angry that she turned around and ran away from home. The woman looked at the back of the adopted daughter leaving and immediately called the secretary to tell her to keep a close eye on her.